Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order for the Committee of the Whole meeting of the Board of Education for Monday, June 22nd, 2015. Could we have a roll call, Mrs. Perino?
Okay, Simmons?
Yes, here.
Odom? Harold?
Here.
Marks? Forrest?
Here.
Huckabee? Here. Paredes?
Here, and quorum is present. Next on the agenda, we have audience comments. Before we hear some audience comments, I'd just like to assure the community that audience comments are in place so that we can hear what the community has to say, and I'd like to assure the community that in fact we are listening, and that if we are quiet while you are speaking, it is a sign of respect, and that we are absolutely 100% listening, and that at all times we are fellow parents in this community as well as fellow community members, and we care very deeply for what you have to say. With that, we have one person? No. Oh, okay. No audience comments? Okay, we go to the next agenda item. Next on the agenda, we have several discussion and updates. The first is a Parker construction update.
Mr. Rigo, if you would please come up and address the construction update.
Certainly. I think you may have all received a memo, probably 2 pages, a number of bullet points on it. I will just tell you that we're at a point right now where, for the most part, the addition has been completed. Furnishings are due to arrive on the 6th of July. And the latest plan is that desks and chairs, the other furnishings will show up on the morning of the 6th, and by the end of the day, they'll all be in place in the classrooms and other spaces within the addition, so we're looking forward to that. There was some abatement work that was completed in the existing building in preparation for some renovation work that's going to occur there, and that was completed actually a few days ahead of schedule. So this morning, construction work started in those spaces within the existing building. And again, we're at this point, we're pretty confident that that'll finish up when it's supposed to. If you've been by the building, and you may have noticed the site work that's going on as far as the parking and the driveway. And we're rapidly approaching the point where we start seeing asphalt going down out there as well, but it's all been finished graded. We don't believe that we had to take out quite as much band soil as we anticipated, which is good news. There'll likely be a credit going back on that. And things are moving along just the way they're really were supposed to and the way we intended them to. So in spite of some of the questionable weather we've had, paving work has been proceeding accordingly. You have to answer any questions.
Do you have to tap into contingency or?
Yes, we have. And there are a number of different prime contracts that you may know about. And each one of them has a contingency in it. We're still at the game. Some of them are planned for things like garbage removal and those types of costs that come along with it. And others were in case we encounter things that we haven't anticipated, which we did. But yeah, we're in good shape.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Rigo.
Thank you very much. Next up on the agenda, we have a book discussion coming to order, which is a guide for successful school board meetings. The purpose of this discussion is both a reflective professional development piece for the board, as well as a means to help educate the public on how the board functions and what its role is in the school district, and how the community can best engage with the school district. So I have taken chapter 1 and 2, as they were relatively brief, and I broke them down to a series of bullet points, after which, if anyone would like to discuss this, we will have about 5 minutes for discussion. That's okay with everybody? Okay, chapter 1 is entitled The Importance of a Good Meeting. Meetings are where board members have actual authority if a quorum is present to act as a group or a majority. It focuses on board work, which we'll flesh out a little bit later. It's defining the district's direction, which is then codified into board policy. It is checking to be sure the district's purpose and direction are consistent with community aspirations and values and staff capabilities and resources. It is using statements to delegate authority to the superintendent and staff so they can understand the the limitations on authority. It is also monitoring performance and compliance with board policy to ensure the superintendent and staff are taking the district in the right direction and operating the district in a manner consistent with community values, and demonstrating a sense of responsibility for its own procedure and its own performance. The agenda addresses real board work, which is itself focuses on the ends as opposed to the means. For example, student learning as opposed to student activity. There are good tables that illustrate best board practices in creating an agenda on pages 1 and 2 and 3 that help boards stay focused and not get sidetracked from time-wasting non-agenda items. And again, these are just easy things to flip back to that we can reflect on as we read, reread, and examine these over the course of a year. And they're really meant to help guide us and stay focused on what we do as a board. And again, the focus of the board is to really work on the ends. It is not to work on the means to those ends. Would you like to discuss this now, everybody, or should I just go on to the next chapter and we can discuss it as a collection? Keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
The review was nice.
All right, thank you. Chapter 2 is entitled The Agenda, a Roadmap to Success. It is required by law. There are specific guidelines to follow, but the most important thing is that the meetings are orderly and conducted with civility, and that all members know what they're voting for. They are full of information items, consent agenda items, which are a list of routine agenda actions intended to save time by voting on them as a group, by which any board member may remove individual considerations for any reason if they wish to discuss them first before agreeing to them. And of course, action items, which board members will vote on individually and may discuss individually as well. They are policy-driven and role-focused. A good agenda has established clear goals. It delegates authority. It monitors progress. It gathers data. And it holds the superintendent responsible for results. Administrative matters may appear on the agenda as information items. All action items reflect clear board work as opposed to staff work. Clear policy for placing items on the agenda, meaning that things on the agenda should relate back to the board's goal and what the board has written down as its board policy posted on the district website. There should be an annual agenda for recurring business. Page 6 through 7 give good guidance for this. And what that really means is that if we know that we're going to discuss a budget or a tentative budget, that's something that would kind of be on. It wouldn't be a surprise like, next week we're going to do this. It would be something that board members would know is coming as much as possible. It should allow for board members to be well prepared with relevant board issues, balcony versus dance floor issues. And the metaphor of the balcony versus the dance floor really means that the board really has a place up above where they look at the big picture. They do not necessarily go down and interact and intercede and put out fires on the dance floor. That's something that they have staff to do. And again, it's the difference between the means to an end and the end itself. The end itself is what the board really focuses on. It should allow for board members to be well prepared with relevant board issues, as we say. Problems may arise when board loses focus of the agenda or attempts to do work more appropriate for staff. Enough time should be allocated for important board work, but one issue should not take over an entire meeting in best case scenario. And again, these are ideals, and issues can be tabled if necessary. Any comments, questions? Does that sound? You understand?
Yeah, it is. It's something we all work through, but appreciate just kind of going through it as a group and hearing it again.
Okay. All right, then if everybody's okay, I'm going to move on to the next agenda item. Okay, next agenda item, we will discuss board meeting minutes and video. Mr. Duster?
Yeah, this is a board topic for discussion in regards to the minutes and the video. I want to let the board know we did videotape the last board meeting. However, there were some some inappropriate things said on that video, so we are going to have to purchase some editing software to have a couple of those items removed. Once we do that, we can post it. We're videotaping right now. And there's information in here about streaming the video, and there's a cost in there, et cetera, and it's going to take a lot of time. What I would suggest that we do is videotape and then have it up by the next morning by noon. If that's okay with the board, that's really not going to cost a lot of money for us to do.
I think that's entirely reasonable. Does anyone else have a comment?
A comment about just for clarification, when you said that we are going to use editing software, it would not edit any content. It was that was relevant. It was because it was
It's going to edit, yes. There
And I just want to make sure
are
that
two
that's
words.
clear.
No words.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't even know what that software is like.
Okay.
So I hope it might bleep or it was inappropriate. I don't want children watching that.
Agreed.
So that is what we'll do, and I'm not for sure where we're going to put it, but it might be underneath the board page. I would imagine would be the most appropriate place to put it. So that's how we'll do that.
And then starting with the next,
It'll start, we'll post this one tomorrow. Our tech director is out on vacation today, so hopefully we can get it tomorrow completed. If not, it'll be up before Friday. Next is board minutes. You had asked for information on board minutes and what we do. Board minutes are some criteria that we have to have in there according to Open Meetings Act. And that's really up to board discussion. I've offered some guidelines from coming to order. There's specific pages in there that discuss it. So it's up to you guys to decide how you want to do it, and we will apply with your wishes.
this is a further conversation about, we kind of had started with, we're using the video so we can very clearly go to these clean minutes, very, very succinct with only required information as stated here.
The minutes, yeah, the minutes are official.
Yeah.
Any further comments, question?
So, one, 2 point.
I think that's, we have it on video, I think it'd be redundant to then have an elaborate narrative. I think that it certainly would work well with video.
Also just take some of the questions about it, whether or not we're capturing everything quickly or some things, something else, and if it get captured, it's just very clean and clean.
Kathy, do you have any questions? Because you're the one who does
I
the
don't.
minutes.
Okay, then next we will discuss board conferences. We have tri-conferences, national school board conferences, IASB dinners, ISB workshops. I can take this. Mrs. Odom is unwell today, so she could not make it in. I think that we have a budget we looked at last year of $26,000, by which I believe that we came under about 7,000. I don't have the.
It's 7,600.
7,600.
Just want you to be mindful that also, that line item also includes gifts for the staff, for like teacher appreciation week, those types of things.
Okay. Are there any other things in that line item that we should be aware of, aside from that? How much did we spend
Those
on?
your fees too. Don't forget that. You've got your school fees and your ISB fees and any other organizations you belong to are in there. That's it for this 26,000. There's other line items, but it's not included in those. Like your audit is in there and so on, but it's a different line item than this. And also the township treasurer, but again, it's a different line item. I didn't pull it for that.
No, those are specific for what the board wanted this covered, what they were asking for.
Even though we came in under 7,600, recommendation just kind of keep it about the same because there's other items in there.
You go above, you want to talk about the tax cap?
It's not tax cap. It's
No, sorry.
administrative cost cap. Administrative cost cap gives you 5% above the prior year's actual. Okay, So it's not like you can take budget to budget, it's actual to budget here. So being that amount under, there may be some other places that we can look at, but essentially you're kind of looking at 5% over that 18-3 in order to keep yourselves within the cap. Unless, of course, you do want to go over that and budget over that, and then if we do go over the total administrative cost cap, you would have to have a public hearing. That is always an option. I guess really the best place to start in how many people are going to go to national, kind of set out a framework of where you are thinking you want to be. And then we can determine whether you are over that 5% mark or not. I mean, if you're going to do exactly what you're doing this year, and maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, you're going to be fine. If everybody's going to go to national, and obviously we're not going to be okay.
But 18,000 is not the final number, though. Is that correct?
And it's pretty close to the end, because we're finishing up all of the bills right now, tying them all up. And I believe I pulled this number on Thursday morning, and I'm not so sure if there were any other expenditures hanging out, so that's probably pretty close to the end.
I don't have my iPad in front of me, and I didn't bring up that document. Can you tell me, I think that the seminar was...
I've got the down. Troy conference is $1,000.
Okay, and the seminar was about 600.
That's when ISB comes, that's $600.
Right.
Raise.
And the trainings are $15 to $500. Okay, just generally speaking, this is my perspective. I would like, and I think everybody should go to the Tri-Conference. I know that sometimes it's difficult with work schedules and other commitments, but I think that from my experience, I found that to be immeasurably helpful to me as a board member, and I think that somebody, specifically I think Debbie Odom, since she has done so much real meaningful work and just fantastic work in with the IASB, I think that she'd be a great candidate to send to nationals. I would not be in support of sending everybody to nationals. In fact, I would really like to just keep it to one person. I think that's reasonable, and I think that if board members want to attend a workshop, that's certainly something we should discuss. And certainly we can discuss as a group if we want to have a specific seminar on something like community engagement or any of the other workshops that are coming up this year. I have a short list, but I forgot my phone. I would like to say this, and I think that Dr. Dreyfus had mentioned this a few months ago, rather, that he had a suggestion as an audience member that there should be an agenda attached to somebody going to one of these things. Because I think that if we go to a workshop or to the Tri-Conference, we should go there with a very strategic plan where we're not all going to community engagement, we're not all going to busing, but we spread out and we decide who's going to go where and how we're going to report that back to the board. And I think that's the most efficient use of our professional development. And that certainly includes, if Ms. Bowden goes to nationals, I think that we should all have an idea of what she would come back with. And then if she came back with anything beyond our initial agenda, then I think that'd be great. But if we spend money to send people to professional development, we should have very clear outcomes before any of us go. That's just my perspective.
I mean, I agree to this, we're going to be happy with not only ourselves, but the board. It would be great for all of us to learn about the different sessions, and we talked about that before, so. Fred, does this include, like, when we do our team training with Esther? Is that familiar?
That is free.
No.
No, to buy them.
Yeah, oh, okay. Free, lawyer, okay. Okay.
To add on to that, there's actually a free workshop day that Stereo and Heinz gives for all of their clients, which I went to last spring and I thought it was really fantastic. And you get a lot of really great information, and you will probably not be qualified to be a district lawyer after you attend this, but certainly I think it's a good broad scope for all attendees.
So Steve, you are suggesting then, if you're suggesting that only one board member attend the National School Board Conference, then you are proposing a budget that actually will be less than what our current actual is for this year. Is that correct? And if that is correct, is there a sense that we need to have reduce this amount? I mean,
You're not going to end up less, because remember, included in that 18.3 is are your scope dues, are your ISB dues, are your NASB dues. So these items that are listed here as for those events, when you add them all together and so on, you don't have everything in there.
Okay.
That's not full scope.
Okay.
In addition to that, no one.
You're going to be approximately the same as you were this year if you send, actually you'll be a little over because we didn't send anyone a national this year.
Mr. Sims?
I would suggest we abide by Ms. LaBelle's frameworks you laid out. 5% increase on what we spent gets us to about $19,250. We monitor that throughout the year, and if we need to cut back so as not to exceed that, we find ways to be thoughtful about what we're attending, per the guidelines, bring it up in advance, make sure we're all on board with that person or people attending, what the objective is, report back, document. There are places where we can cut if we need to, but again, we're suggesting and allowed a 5% increase over and above what we've spent. I think that should be adequate for the upcoming fiscal year.
I think that's very reasonable.
Would it be possible, it's too bad that Mrs. Odom is unwell and not able to join us this evening. Would it be possible to get her impression of what she took away from the conference she attended 2 years ago and what action? I don't recall the board acting on anything from her attendance, but it would be good to know what the board gained, about $3,000 to attend that conference. So it'd be nice to know what the benefit is to the board of that conference, and if she feels it is something that's worthwhile sending, that she feels she should attend again, or someone should attend again. And the same for the tri-conference. I know the last big push of the tri-conference was the Vision 2020, and I don't believe that was ever brought back to the board. So it'd be good to know if we're going to be reevaluating how we pay attention to what members learn, if there are action items attached to that with the board.
Steve, I think that was a good reiteration of what you said.
Yeah.
We're just having the agendas and making sure ahead of time about what we're bringing, what we're going to, setting it up and making sure we're communicating back.
Well, I guess I'm saying we've done it,
Yeah.
and we haven't had any of those things, so I'm wondering if they are worthwhile. You're saying you think they're worthwhile, yet we haven't had a report back on the national conference. I know she attended lunch.
Well, I think that
But I don't think no action items came forward, and like with the tri-conference, I know the big push last year was Vision 2020, and boards were supposed to approve it, and I believe the attendees were supposed to bring all the information back, and I don't think we did anything with that. I know it wasn't brought back to the board. That's probably under her purview, I'm sorry, her role, Mrs. Odom's role on the, could you state again what she does?
she is last year she was the chair for the ISB South Cook Division.
Which involves doing particular responsibilities.
Well, they do things like they set up, they establish agenda items for ISB South dinners and meetings. They establish workshops. Various other things. If you want, I could have her, ask her to give a
No, I'm
presentation.
asking, I don't know that everybody, you've got newer board members, and everyone is familiar, so it's good to kind of flesh it out
Sure.
for our board members in the community as well.
If I can ask too, just from what you just said there, first, maybe this conversation can be tabled so when someone is here, because for this agenda item, we were supposed to be discussing the content of the expenses. John made a very, very good recommendation. I think everyone agreed with that, so it's probably for expedience sake, ensuring that Ms. Owen is here, that we could just kind of hopefully close.
That'd be great. If you could ask her to kind of have a report so we could have an understanding of how,
Sure.
so we can make a good fiscal decision on whether
Absolutely.
this money is well spent or not. And I think she can really touch on all of these. These are all IASB things.
Yeah, I'm sure she
So we
could.
need to input that. That'd be great.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this moving forward?
Yeah, I need direction.
Okay,
So for the tri-conference, budget-wise, am I budgeting for 7 board members?
I think so, yes. Unless somebody knows
Everybody else
now
agree
that
with
they're
that?
not going to go.
My suggestion
No.
was,
Yeah, what I've heard,
my suggestion was that the board give you direction to budget 19,250. And that is to be divided up as we go through the year with suggestions and/or requests to attend certain conferences, and a cost to do that would be associated with the discussion in advance of the particular conference.
then I can give a report as we go on through our
Yeah.
course.
Well, that- I understand. First of all, with that suggestion being brought forth, is that what the whole board agrees with? Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yes? Okay, good. All right, we have to, on July 1st, send information to ISB to make reservations for the tri-conference. So our next board meeting is not until July 13th. So the question that I have now would be, do we sign up? Do you want me to sign everyone up? If so, I will. That's not a concern. And how many minutes?
That's we have a majority here on besides Timmy. I mean, I know I will be attending. I'm attending the 2 nights.
I'll attend for the two. Is this something that would make sense to just let you know by July 1st so that we can check our calendars? I know that I can go for 2 nights, but
Is July, I'm sorry, July 1st is the deadline?
That's the first time we get in. You have to get in as early as you can to confirm your reservation.
Okay.
If we wait, then there's no guarantee. We can wait if the board would like.
Let's go check our calendars and get back to you no later than July 1st, and maybe Ms. Perino could send out a quick reminder a day or 2 in advance, just to make sure Ms. Owen might not, have gotten a message or something like that.
Could I request June 30th then, because we always
Yeah, that's
get it
fine.
in first thing on the 1st?
sounds good.
Better sooner than later, for sure. The dates again were November.
It's around the 20th.
It's the weekend before Thanksgiving.
20th and 21st.
22nd,
Yep.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Next. We ready? Okay. Next we will review revised policies. Mr. Duster?
Yeah, in front of you are just added language from process who the school board is associated with. They send us information. You have everything there. This will be the first reading. The narratives are located on each one of the policy. You can take a look at that, which I'm sure all of you have already. And they seem to be pretty easy revisions. After our July 13th board meeting, there'll be second reading and approval. We'll go ahead and put those on the website. This happens 3 times a year, usually one in the fall, early spring, and then about this time.
Okay, new board members, do you understand this is something that has happened on a regular basis and really is a response to changes in laws in Springfield and so forth?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Does anyone have any issue with any of this?
I have a question, that's sorry, I have a question. These are, the wording here is only changes recommended by press, or are there any recommendation changes from the administration, or this is just?
No, these were
standard?
simple,
So this is just-
changes.
okay.
And they have a panel of attorneys that go through all of this as far as the costs.
So there's no option, you don't have to worry about.
No, they always have an option.
It's highly recommended.
Highly recommend.
Anything else? Further comment? Okay, next on the agenda, we'll discuss disposal of science textbooks.
Yes, this is, we did purchase new resources for our science department. These are old resources from 2001, 2002. At the next board meeting, we'll be seeking an approval on this. Once that's done, we have a big shredder coming, and we will shred all of these books that are not being used and are outdated first.
Now, is there any way that, I mean, I realize these are pretty outdated. Is there a book depository that might be able to use them, or something?
Yeah, now we check. Yeah, they don't want them to.
Firewood or something?
I think one of the comments from one of the companies said, if you pay us, we'll take them over. But, yeah.
The date on the memo reads October 14, 2014. Was that just,
It was an error, so
Okay.
thank you.
because in the text, it has a current date.
Yeah, no, it is.
Okay.
So that is, correct. Thank you very much.
So how would we dispose exactly? They go in a dumpster?
No, we have a shredding truck that comes and it shreds.
Could this possibly be recycled, or
That's what,
it's basically recycled cement? Any further questions or comments? Okay. Next on the agenda, the board will discuss the strategic plan / vision statement that we have looked to update.
Dr. Madonia presented this a while back, and it was kind of put on hold so that we could get the focus areas created and continue to work on that. That information will be ready for the July 13th meeting. We're still working on it, but the vision statement and the mission statement right here is what we have worked on thus far. I'd like to take input from board members if you want to add something, if it's something you'd like to see, then after tonight we can incorporate that into the strategic plan for recommendations for approval. Yes?
It's just from the mission and vision statement that is here now to this one. One of the things, and then also what came out of some of the discussions at the strategic planning session, which was very helpful. We really spoke to either some words we're maintaining, getting back to, but that excellence that what's the vision statement? It says currently world class. Okay, so I know that that was a huge statement. What does that mean? But when I read this, it felt that it was safe, good safe words, but that piece of it that says, you know what, we're working to that world class, whatever that means. I don't know if people are really talking about that, but that came across in all of the different groups, and I just felt that that was missing from here. That was the only thing that it was just, I was wondering why the decision, or if there was any conversation around choosing to either pull back from a very lofty vision statement, which is what we want for our district, to global leaders who inspire, to community of leaders who inspire global learning, which is excellent, but an aspirational piece. I didn't see that in that vision.
That's what we did. We dissected, we talked, we spent hours on this to give as a presentation to the board, and we're very pleased with it after many hours of work. If there's anything that you would like to add to it.
That was the only piece of it, which is it was more of a question than adding it,
Okay.
which is about the world class, the best of the best in class, with, different terms, but that in the mission piece of it. I had a question.
Is there any thinking behind the order, so in the last part, provides a foundation for global, independent, and innovative thinking. Are those in that order for a particular reason? The global, independent, and innovative?
No, just I believe they're also alphabetically. So did you have a suggestion to change that?
I personally like provides the foundation for the independent come first, because it focuses more on here, this student here, and then growing up.
How's the rest of the board feel about that?
You know what, I guess I'm a little flat by these in general. I guess I would rather we wait till we see what comes out of the goals from the strategic plan as a finished product before, and then go back and look at this. Because I think that we did this before we looked at our strategic planning committee. And so I guess I would like to see this through the lens of our finished product, with the strategic planning committee. And then look at it again. I guess I don't feel inspired by this, and I would like to feel inspired. And it could be, and it happens a lot with a group of people work on something that they're wordsmithing, and sometimes a lot of people working together that they almost kind of negate each other in a certain way. But I would like to see, I would rather, and this is just my perspective, I would rather we wait until we saw the final product from our strategic planning before we commit to a vision or a vision statement. But I think it's a good start.
I will tell you, this is one of the things I really like through that, because our last mission statement was, it kind of had lots of stuff in it, and I know that it's very difficult to get down to one thing, so the simplicity with which it is stated is really helpful.
Anyone else?
I have a number of edits that I suggested. I didn't send it to everybody because I wasn't sure what the timeline that we all wanted to work within. I'm agnostic as to whether we finalize it in the next couple of weeks or we wait until the strategic plan is fully documented. It ends up just being words unless we act to implement and work in alignment with what we all agree to, not just the 7 of us and you, but your entire administration and our educational staff as well. So I'm hesitant to send my thoughts around because I really worked off of this as a baseline. I'm not sure that this is the right baseline or not, but it should align with whatever the strategic plan is going to say in whatever form that comes. So, what the hell would I just say? I'm fine with waiting a little bit. I have some thoughts, but perhaps we need to wait.
We have 2 that want to wait. How about everyone else?
I don't think I can wait.
3 to wait?
I'm fine waiting and letting the strategic plan inspire the mission statement.
So we'll be inspired on July 13th. We'll bring it back to everyone. We'll have Mr. Dr. Madonia. He'll present that, and then he can talk a little bit more about the mission. What I ask of the board is to send your comments to me so that I can have a list so that we can take a look at those as well. And also pass those along to Dr. Madonia.
Just about the middle piece as far as waiting with the strategic plan, the buy-in from the community, since they were very much engaged in putting together the strategic plan. When there isn't even, when there is the feeling of perception like this vision and mission was built out of stuff that we also communicated, and it was driven off of what we said were the priorities for the organization, you're going to have a lot more buy-in support for that as well, which is going to be great. And then we come back to some of these same words, but we'll see that it wasn't just built for the 7 months, and that makes a huge difference too.
On that October meeting, we are going to invite everyone in the committee to the board meeting. I don't know how many will be here because it's prime vacation. So, but they'll be invited, and then we'll also be addressing the new strategic plan throughout the school year next year. Okay? All right, so we will wait on that until the 13th, where we can have some more discussion. But please send your comments to me in regards to suggestions, please.
I would like at this time to entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters relating to closed minute review, review executive minutes 18 months or less, review of executive minutes recommended for release, and review of executive minutes recommended to be kept confidential, and personnel.
Make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss. Second.
Huckabee and Mrs. Horn. We're now going to executive session. Motion is passed. Oh, it will be about 45 minutes, I'm guessing. Or a couple hours, perhaps. 45 minutes.